Hello and welcome to this guide for how to farm U materials in Cold Steel 4. Quick disclaimer, this is recorded in Act 3, so there's a possibility of spoilers up to that point. This can be pulled off in Act 2, so there will also be spoilers to that point. So if you don't want to see those spoilers, or any potential spoilers, please look away now. Now with the spoiler warning out of the way, the way to do it is quite simple. Fishing. Also ignore the costumes. So, in the middle of Act 2, you return to the town of Leaves, and in Leaves, apparently in both fishing spots, but I choose this one, there are 4 fish you can catch. Skygills, Cassigans, snow crabs, and quicksilver carps. The snow crabs and quicksilver carps give you 3 to 9 U materials if you manage to catch them in the great section.
There! Got a bite!
For example, that's a skygill, just ignore it.
Well, it's not bad. There!
This process
Got a bite!
will typically take
There!
about 15 minutes until you run out of bait.
Nice!
As you can see, once you
Not
figure
bad at
out,
all.
just by looking at the hook bar, what kind of fish you have.
Got
For
a bite.
example, that is probably
Nice.
a snow crab, yep. You'll know when to
Not
reel
bad at all.
them in and when to not reel them in.
There!
And just do this
Got a
until
bite.
you're out of bait. Occasionally you'll
Got
miss,
away.
especially if you're
There.
using turbo.
Got a bite!
Turbo does drastically increase the
promising.
speed of this, so I'd highly recommend getting the timing to use
Not
turbo
bad at all.
down for fishing.
There! Got a bite!
I would highly recommend waiting until
Got
Act
away.
3 to do this grinding, as
Got a bite.
there's more items you can get with U materials in Act
away.
3,
There!
as well as
Got a
you'll
bite.
have gotten more fish by Act
Nice.
3, so you'll get more freebies from the fishing guild and have a much better fishing
Not
rod.
bad at all. There!
So just by doing
Got a
this, damn it,
It got away. There!
typically in 10 to
Got a bite.
15 minutes you'll go through
Nice!
99 bait, and typically you'll get
I got
minimum 200 to 250 U materials
There.
per go.
Got a bite!
And that's if
It got away. There!
you don't get the fish
Got
in
a
the
bite.
good portion of the bar. Sometimes it'll take a long
Got
time,
away. There!
because those damn
Got a bite.
Cassigans and Skygills will keep
This is
showing
promising.
up, and your yield will be highly dependent on how many
Not bad at all.
quicksilver carps versus snow crabs that you reel in.
Got a bite. Nice.
But even reeling in the snow crabs
Not bad at all.
will give you quite a few U materials.
Got a bite. Nice.
Now, the big thing about this is having to rebuy
It's a
your fishing
whopper.
bait. As you can tell, I'm down quite a few fishing bait. If you just head over to the local general store where you can actually sell fish, you can trade Cassigans for S tablets, which don't sell for much. You can trade Skygills for Curia bombs, which don't sell for much. You can trade the snow crabs for chitinous shells, which don't sell for a whole much. But you can trade the quicksilver carps for vitality droplets. Those sell for 1,000 each. So if you go down here, go down to your vitality droplets, wherever the heck they showed up. There we go. So as you can tell, from those 23 snow crabs, not snow crabs, quicksilver carps, I got 28 grand in terms of Mira, and then I can use that 28 grand to buy back my fishing bait. Alternatively, you could go back to your ship, which, in case you don't want the name of the ship that you're on spoiled, I'll avoid it. And on the ship, there will be someone who can
Pretty
trade...
much guaranteed to get a bite here.
Yes, Fee, we're guaranteed to get a bite. On either ship, there's someone who you can trade UMATs for fishing bait. And I typically wouldn't do that since I'm trying to get UMATs here. But as you can tell, in that 5 minutes it took me to explain it, I got another 60 or so UMATs. Keep in mind, when I first started doing this, I had 60 total. I went through 99 bait, and then another 40. So I went through 150-ish bait to get 410 U materials. This is probably the faster of the two methods I know of. The other method is to go to St. Graal Labyrinth Tier 3, go to the depths, and then go back. And there's a room with 3 enemies whose main drop is you materials. And you just get them all into one battle, spec Reen or anyone else for item drops, which is Emblem Master Quartz, Luck, Platinum Coin, and a bunch of crit damage. And just destroy all the enemies with Reen. That's usually how I went to go get U materials, but in an hour of grinding I would get maybe 120, whereas an hour of grinding here probably would get me 600 to 900. So yeah, that's the guide. There are other ways to get U materials later in the game as far as I know, but this is probably the best one overall, since you can just sort of, you don't really need to pay attention to what you're doing here. Especially with a really good fishing rod.
Not bad at all.
If you have a fishing rod that's the max for your tier at this stage,
It got away.
the only fish that you actually have to pay attention to when you hook it is the Quicksilver Carp, because there's a good chance that you can't just hold down the reel button like you can with the Skygill and just power through the time where it's struggling.
Not bad at all.
The Cassigans and Snow Crabs won't even have time to struggle,
Got a bite.
so you can just hold down the reel button
Nice.
like this. But the Quicksilver Carps, there's a good chance that they will struggle, and they struggle for long enough to break your line, so you actually have to pay attention to the... For example, see? They struggle for just long enough to break your line, so the Quicksilver Carps you actually have to pay attention to.
This is promising.
But every other fish you can just hold down
It's a whopper.
circle.
There. Got a bite. This is promising.
Occasionally you'll get lucky and the Quicksilver Carp won't struggle in time,
I got it.
but that's another 9 UMATs right there, and that took me,
Got a bite.
what, under a minute?
Got away.
Whereas that same amount of UMATs would take
Got a
me
bite.
probably 3 to 4 minutes in St. Graal
Got
Labyrinth.
away. There.
And it's certainly better
Got a
than
bite.
using Palm Party
This is
or Vantage
promising.
Masters Hard Mode to get UMATs. I mean, I appreciate
It's
the
a
fact that they
whopper.
chose to allow you to play Palm to get U materials,
Got a
but
bite.
the later Palm
Nice.
opponents are so damn difficult that it takes like 5 minutes per battle.
It's
And
a whopper.
it's a 5-minute Tetris battle.
There.
And you get
Got a bite.
maybe 6 U
Nice.
materials for the first time you beat them, and like 3 for subsequent victories. Whereas
It's
this
a whopper.
little spiel of mine took me like 2 minutes,
Got a bite.
and I've reeled in probably
Got away.
30 or 40 U materials just
Got a
chilling here.
bite.
You can save your
Got
bait
away.
by purposely missing
Got a bite.
on Skygills and Cassigans.
Nice.
After a bit of practice, you'll know
not
which
bad.
hook bars to reel in, which ones not to reel in.
Got a bite.
Like, that's a Skygill, but I
Nice.
accidentally hit that right at the end. I was
It's
trying
a
to miss it to
whopper.
save the bait, because Skygills you don't really get much for.
Got a bite.
That's a Snow Crab.
Nice.
Eventually, once you get
I
the
got it.
timings down and once you know which power bars to get, you'll hardly ever have to actually waste
Got a
bait
bite.
on something like a Skygill, which I
Got
purposely
away.
skipped there. Now, occasionally
bite.
you will, for example,
Nice.
accidentally hit in the good instead of the great, or you'll accidentally
bad.
miss, so that'll waste some time,
Got a bite.
but at least it won't waste the bait, which is 400
Got
mirror that you
away.
didn't throw away. Or a
Got
U
a bite.
material.
It got
For-
away.
like, I don't need those Cassigans at
Got a
all.
bite. Nice.
But at least the Snow Crabs turn into chitinous shells, which you'd otherwise
It's a
have to grind
whopper.
for, and the Quicksilver Carps turn into Vitality
Got a bite.
Droplets, which you can either use to cheese
Got
your
away.
HP to ridiculous quantities, or sell to
bite.
regain your fishing bait.
This is promising.
And that's another 9 right there.
Not bad at all.
So yeah, you can technically grind for U materials as early as the first act. Oh, I didn't mean to hit that. I meant to go to the map. There we go. As early as the first act, when you go to Sutherland... Where is it? There we are. In the Isthmia Great Forest near the entrance, there's a fishing spot where there are 3 fish and one of them is a snow crab. So, that's the earliest you can possibly grind for U materials. And snow crabs are pretty easy to reel in, even in Act 1 when you have a horrible fishing rod. But in the middle ending portion of Act 2, or anytime in Act 3, just go to leaves and fish. Nice and simple. But yeah, if that guide helped you, please leave a like, leave a comment, giving me some feedback considering the fact that I just rambled about how easy fishing is. And yeah, hopefully this helped you. Later, guys.